Hey Scott, thank you and welcome, Michael Noss. How are you, buddy?
Hey, how's it going? Doing good?
Oh, all right, all right. You guys are in for a special treat today. Jamie is still on vacation for this week, but Michael Noss is uh, nice enough to jump in and is going to help out in the questions panel. And he's also going to talk a little bit about Holly and what's coming down the pike. So I think you guys are in for a treat there for sure. But before we get started, let's just go through and go talk about our disclaimer here, guys. We always have to go through this, and just keep in mind that this webinar is for educational purposes only. Anything that you see or hear today is for educational purposes, like I just said, and nothing should be construed as investment advice. If that's what you're looking for, you might want to seek out an RIA or a registered broker. All right, but we have lots to talk about, and bear with us, you guys who are regular people, and we get many in here every week. We have to do the rundown on our support and education because, like I said, it's second to none. It's a very powerful software. Sometimes can appear daunting, but once you get to play around with it, it's very intuitive, and we make sure it's intuitive for you. And the way we do that, we have a daily trading room with Barry, our moderator in there, who's also a professional trader. You can basically look over his shoulder while he trades the market and does call out his trades and uses our software. So you get to see how he navigates the market using our software. And then we have 4 webinars a week, all in the 5 p.m. Time slot. It's usually a combination of myself, Jamie, or Steve Gomez. But on Wednesdays, you get to hear from our CEO, Dan Merkin, and CTO Brad Williams. It's a great place to come for Q&A and to get maybe a demo of features coming down, coming down the road. And let's not forget about our Friday support session. This is available also to everyone. You do not have to be a subscriber if you want to come learn more about the product. It's at 11 a.m. on Fridays, and guys, get in there. This is growing more and more each week as people come in there and want to ask questions. We do have a module that we like to call our broker does, as like Michael Noss. He is very proficient at this, and he knows how to develop strategies that will work, and he can tie in so he can automate his trades and go golfing if he wants to while it's firing off trades.
You wouldn't want me out there golfing
I'm
with
not
you,
sure if
though.
you're a golfer, but all right, guys, if you want more information about that, go to trade-ideas.com/beta. Guys, we do not have, and gals, we are not offering one-on-one training anymore. We've gotten too big to fulfill, all the high demand for the one-on-one. So we've gone to what's called TI University. We are getting a credible response for this. It's 4 days a week. We start at 11 o'clock Eastern. I'm sorry, 12 o'clock Eastern, excuse me, Monday through Thursday, and it's kind of a scale where you take class 101 on Monday, 201 on Tuesday, 301 on Wednesday, and 401 on Thursday. So it's you're kind of graduating to each step. So total, it's what is that? 6 hours of education. I can promise you, by the end of that first class, you're gonna know the software pretty darn well. And if you don't, you can still come to our Friday sessions to learn more. So it's a really good curriculum, followed up by a 3-hour Q&A on Fridays. So please sign up for that, guys, if you're new. And you can go to our training footer at the bottom of our page and click on training, and you will be taken to this page, and just click on enroll in TI University. All right, here's the agenda for today. We're going to, as always, do a market recap. Going to go over and do a Holly recap. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that today because we have, like I said, Michael Noss. A lot of you guys know him as Von Para on Twitter and YouTube. And what it's going to be is I'm going to let him basically talk about some of the changes that he's doing inside Holly, and some of the strategies he's implementing, and some of the stop losses he's working with. So you guys, I know we've teased you like with Holly 2.0. Well, Michael's kind of the mastermind behind that, and we'll get to kind of pick his brain a little bit today.
Sounds good.
Does that sound good, Michael?
That sounds fun.
All right, all right. And I put together a little alert window. A lot of times when I am trading and the market is at a point where it looked like it may either go either direction, it might get a bounce, or it might keep going south. Well, a lot of times what I want to do is be prepared if there is a bounce. So I've created a little alert that looks for relative strength when the market is selling off. So you'll be notified when the bounce comes of these stocks coming through this alert that they have held up really well during the sell-off in the overall market. And I will share that with you. All right, so let's back out of this for now. And if we do have time, we'll go over and ask some chart requests if you have them. So let me back out of this. And there we have our spiders, which we will talk about the market recount. We like using the ETF. To kind of market versus the diamonds, which only comprises of about 30 stocks, and it's kind of antiquated. Well, guys, let me just kind of, I'm not going to draw them back in here, but last time we met, it was right on this green bar, and spiders dip and really profiting from it, and it's really conditioned, and that's what we saw. I mean, that, it wasn't a huge volume on this sell-off, but more than we've seen, on the up days, and below the 200-day moving, we're showing resiliency is not even making it to the 200. Diamonds did tick below it, but bounced back. Pretty much what closed right back in is kind of this wedge again, and then of course yesterday just a very good day. No, not at all. I don't think so. It's there's a lot of destruction done here. Seeing that smooth, uptrend like we've seen over here. Now it's more forthing, and also there's a lot of work to be done. No, we're not out of the woods. We're below our 20 period downward sloping. We're below our 50 period downward sloping. They're just not stacking up the way you'd like, like for them. We'll tell. We're right back kind of, I'm not going to elaborate on it to the range. We'll see what happens if tomorrow or the next day we get up here and meet this 10 period where it just shot through. Guys, back in January is in the spiders, kind of made a little bit of a higher high there, but still. So on the overall market recap here.
The only thing I've been noticing, and I'm sure you guys have talked about it a lot, but just the size is great for experienced traders, but can be a little bit of hardship for new traders. So I've been kind of suggesting, lower your size and moves that would take days before are happening in hours, which is a lot more fun, but it can be a lot scarier. So just kind of be careful out there.
Yes, very good advice, Michael. Very good advice, and I've always tell Michael, I showed them the comparison of what we're seeing here in the spiders to the chart of Bitcoin when it topped out, and it's uncanny how look. So I am not saying that craggy and low mountain. I'm not going to call it, but it's good to be on your toes. All right, that's enough of that. And now let's go into Holly, and I'm kind of hung out around the day. And let's face it, the spiders, let's zoom in on our 15-minute chart. Here was our action today. We gapped up, basically went to highs, turned around. What didn't work today? Remember, these shorts worked so well on Monday and Tuesday. But today, you had a gap up, and when the market tried to sell off, there just wasn't any follow through. And indicative of what we've seen in Holly trying to short during market days like this, where you just get no follow through to the downside, that's kind of what we saw today. You had a gap up and then sideways action. There was no downside follow through on her shorts. Thus, you can see there are 5 of her 6 biggest losers were all short. And that added up. She still had some very good trades today. If you look, most of them were long. You had one short in there where she made some risk off at 26 cents. But you know, for the most part, like I said, I'll go over a few of these. This MOV, I thought this had a lot of potential. I was doing a one-on-one session when this one triggered today, and I was explaining to this guy. I said, well, if this is one, I would get a chance, because he was asking me how I trade Holly. And I like to, you know, trade off charts. And when I see Holly call one out on this breakout above this range, I say, you know what, that looks pretty good to me. You have your resistance. There's no other resistance to the top of this wick. You know, those are the kind of things I look for. But, you know, if you, like Jamie likes to say, if you didn't take those cookies, they were pulled back, and kind of what happened there in MOV. I thought this ALK was interesting. It's not, you know, didn't look all that great in a chart, but a good buy point. No real pain. The buy point was right there, and the stop was way down here. And you can see that from where Holly called it, there was no real pain, just moved higher. But I'm going to go ahead and tell you why I was talking to that guy. When I said, you know, this one kind of triggered during our one-on-one as well, and I'm saying, you know, this is one where I'm a little leery. I mean, I like the fact that it's kind of breaking out of this, you know, 4-day high, but look, there's a lot of congestion over here. I said, you know, I'm not sure where this is going to go, because you do have a lot of a pivot point, what you call it. I thought maybe it would make it there, you know, but it kind of slowed down before it got there. But nonetheless, no pain trade, 30 cents, and that's kind of the way it went today. You can see that the downside ones. This was one where Holly was looking for, and I can see exactly what she was looking at earlier. There was a sell, and she bought it back right here. Pretty well, looked like to be pretty quick, but she still lost 48 cents on it. And like I said, I'm not going to go over it. It was a ho-hum day. She still finished up 50 cents on risk off, which is not a bad day. And looking at the action, there's days where I traded in the past like this, where I got just chopped up and chopped up and chopped up. You know, Holly, she was able to manage it pretty well with a risk off of 50 cents. But other than that, yeah, that's about. I don't know if any of you guys have any questions on Holly before I move in and talk to Michael. But
and
thanks,
that's actually something kind of interesting to note there is I'm with you on these doji days, looking back at the SPY when I used to, you know, scalp myself more than the auto trading. These were by far my worst days. They were, you just couldn't get anything going, and I found them incredibly frustrating. But Holly seems to do a pretty good job, as long as you understand that when we're chopping around like this, as you mentioned, you've got to, when you see the profit, you got to grab it. And Holly was in risk off mode most of the day, so it was kind of a good indicator that I found that, you know, when she's in risk off, even with my own trading, I'll look at it and be like, okay, well, you know, usually maybe I would hold on a little bit longer here on a trade, but with the choppiness we're having, just take the money and run type of day.
Sure. That's a very good observation, Michael. And when you do see, you know, Holly shooting out an array of shorts and longs, you know, that's telling you that all these filters are setting up for these trades in both directions. So that's kind of another cue that, hey, this might be a sloppy day, because she's getting setups on both shorts and longs, versus what you saw on Monday when the market went straight down and Holly only came to play with one short and about 9 or 10 longs, but the only thing that triggered was a short. See, that's telling you that the setups were happening on the short side, whereas today you were getting them in both directions. All right, guys, I am going to chat with Michael here, and if you guys don't know, Michael has been around, has been using our software forever. He's incredible with custom formulas, and he is actually helping kind of overhaul Holly. Not that she needs major, you know, reconstruction, but there's some things in there that we can improve, and Michael is the guy that's you know, kind of taking charge there, and I'm glad he is, because I've admired him for a long time. So Michael, tell me exactly. We talk about Holly, 2.0. What are you doing on the back end to help improve, Holly's performances in this soon to be released? I shouldn't. Excuse me, guys. There's a
Soon
figure of
PM.
speech. Yeah.
Yeah.
We have no ETA on this, guys. So please do not send emails bugging us about when it's coming. Okay. We're working on it. We will work as fast as we can, but there's no ETAs. All right. So.
And with Holly 1.0 doing as well as she is, we're not
Mhm.
too under the gun. But no, mostly what I've been doing, and again, if anyone is new to me, Andy's right. I've been using trade ideas since 2006, back when I was kind of trading in a prop firm. We would just kind of scalp, level 2 scalping back in the day before kind of computers came and took us out. And it was one of those, if you can't beat them, join them type of scenarios. And trade ideas was really quick to evolve with the computerization of the market. So I kind of, rode along with that. And I've been doing a lot of work with the odds maker, now the back tester, and building a couple strategies for Holly. I can't remember all of the names, but, Bond Shorty is probably the one that started it all for me.
That's right.
Building a couple for them, I kind of got a good understanding on how Holly will take a strategy that someone has kind of built and honed and refined it, and being able to kind of see all steps of development from the base strategy all the way down to what you guys get to see every day with the AI strategy. Speaking with Dan, we thought it was a really good fit for me to come in and see what the next area is. What can we push Holly to do next? And any of you advanced users out there, that there are the alerts and scans and filters that you guys see and can manipulate directly through the client. But there's a whole nother area of trade ideas that we call the custom formulas. And those are built in the back. There's certain things you can do where you can compare filters that we have and run some pretty cool math against them and do a lot of this kind of stuff. So I've been working with the development team and trying to push forward and teaching Holly more or less to read these. So it's basically opened up the amount of filters and alerts, which, if you spend any time in trade ideas, there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of already. It kind of opened that up exponentially. So now there's literally thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of combinations of filters that we could look at, which really kind of opens up the door. So from there, I can kind of look at what Holly's been doing and saying, okay, well, how could we refine this with the new custom formula feature? So a lot of people have been looking at the swing stop that we've put on our charts, as well as kind of an idea on, if you are a swing trader, where a stop might look like. Well, that's one kind of example of more or less a custom formula, where we can now, instead of using stops that are percentages or dollars and cents, we can say, okay, well, let's put the stops on the chart. Let's build things in the technical analysis, and with our addition of indicators, let's feed that into Holly as well. So Holly is fantastic at running kind of millions and millions and millions of trades every night. And now that the infrastructure is in place to do that, it's like, okay, well, how can we give her even more? So from maybe 1 million to 10 million. And we're looking to expand the base of strategies that you guys are seeing now, and I'm hoping within short order to maybe double that, so we can tighten up the Holly Combine, we call it. So if you guys are new to Holly at all, I'll just give you a real quick walkthrough of, generally speaking, how you guys see the end product at the end of the day. There's these base strategies that we've built ourselves, and we've consulted with other traders and brought in. and they're kind of ideas that traders have. So vague ideas that, you know, test relatively well in the market environment, and then teaching Holly to focus in on those ideas and find out under what circumstances they work the best. So then from there, we take a list of those ideas and the circumstances that they work the best, and we pick the top, you know, 5 to 10 to give to you guys each morning. So the more strategies that we can add into that base of strategies, the more picky we can be about the things that you guys see next day. So the main premise behind there is that, you know, if you get to be pickier about the strategies that you pick, it's kind of like being pickier about the trades that you take as a trader. You know, we all have sat there and, you know, maybe have gotten bored one day, or taken some trades that we weren't really picky about, and they all end up being the worst, right? When you're on your game and you're only taking the trades that absolutely look amazing to you, that's usually when you're having your best day. So our hope is, by just letting in so many more combinations of trades and so many more trading styles and strategies, that Holly is going to do a lot better at only picking it and pinpointing the absolute best opportunity for any given day. So that's kind of what we're looking at for a Holly 2.0.
Oh, great. Yeah, great, Michael. That's really some good stuff. And as a matter of fact, Michael was telling, we're not going to like switch screens or anything, but you were telling me you were working on one now with, I believe it's like an 8 period over a 20 period is the alert. And I've seen some screenshots of the results, and it looks pretty enticing. Is that something that that may be put into the Holly Hopper anytime soon?
That will be, just to tease you guys a bit, but on the base strategy, that one I believe is outperforming pretty much everything we've seen so far.
Nice.
So it's this ability to do customs is really pushing the bar. So we can do things now that we couldn't before, like, you know, a lot of people like hammer candles on the daily. Well, one strategy that I'm working on now is going to look for the day after that, and, you know, any sort of kind of candlestick combination that you've read about in books, with, you know, engulfing candles and piercing candles and black cloud covers and these type of things. So it's very interesting to kind of just see it literally is Holly 2.0, because we are showing her something that she's never really seen before. And Holly takes each trading day and learns from the day before. So now that we're able to bring in so much more data, I think that kind of learning is just going to increase exponentially as well. It's basically, she has more books to study every night.
Exactly. And yeah, and what's the big point here, guys, is the use of the custom formula. I believe, you know, in Holly, you know, especially when it comes, he can really improve the stops, you know, and the profit saves, and reduce risk, but with the use of you just kind of pinpointing. I would think, Michael, that you're able to pinpoint better stop areas that would save on risk on, and etc. But
yeah, we can do more. We can do more pointing at the chart. So instead of Holly thinking in more of a mathematical background, we can point her at the chart and say, okay, well, you know, how does the high or low of the last 15-minute bar affect it, and then run some pretty cool math on that as well. So it's kind of more of a merging of statistical and technical analysis, where Holly did a lot of the statistical side before. We're saying, okay, well, keep doing what you're doing. We don't want to change the underlying logic, because, again, Holly is performing fantastically now. So now we can kind of take that and add to it and say, okay, well, on top of all the statistical knowledge you have, let's actually more or less show you the actual chart and see what you can do with stops and targets and new strategies based off that.
okay, cool, very good. Let me ask you this: do you think it's going to do anything as far as the number of trades or I should say alerts. Holly does not trade, she gives alerts, but the number of alerts she's putting out each day, are they going to pretty much remain the same, or maybe we might see a few less or a few more?
My main hope is to have them remain the same, but higher quality. So
there you go.
We have a filter that has to happen before a Holly strategy can be presented to you. You notice we haven't actually seen bond shorting in a long time. And I can tell you from seeing the back end of that is because that's really underperforming in this current market. It works much better in incredibly volatile markets or around earnings seasons. So the fact that you're not seeing it means she's not making that high filter that we have to make sure that you guys only see the best strategies. So my hope is that by making the strategies better, we can tighten that even more. So things that we may have let in the past, we can say, okay, well, for example, now instead of having a 1.5 profit factor, let's not look at anything without a 2, or maybe way down the road, let's not look at anything without a 3. And so by doing that, we're allowing the same amount of trades. They're just higher quality in a back tested environment.
Sure. Very good, Michael. Yeah, I'm looking. I'm excited, and I don't want to tease you guys with we're running this on a test server right now, and I don't want to get you too excited, but it's performing from what I've seen pretty decent. So, and I know Dan has thrown some tweets out there showing, which I don't wish he would do, but oh well, that Dan will be Dan. All right, guys. Well, Michael, thanks a lot. Michael's gonna hang around and I'm sure chime in and give any input that he wants to talk about going through the rest of the webinar today, and he will hang around and ask some questions. But sure. Good stuff. Looking forward to it. All right, guys. I think I remember the next time. There's only really one other. So what I was thinking about today, guys, when I was looking at the spiders, is okay. Here's the market. Sitting down here at a very critical level. Did not hit the lows over here, although it did, fall, like I said, below the 200-day and close below the 200-day. But let's face it, this does not make a bear market. 1 day below the 200 does not constitute a bear market by no means. For the most part, we're still sitting around, at these lows, around a 10% correction. And also, for the most part, there's a lot of people that love going long. The majority of traders and investors, they want to go long. So a lot of times you can get some really great moves because there's a reason for this, because not only do you have new long interest coming into the market, but you also have people that have gotten short and now are being forced to cover. And I spoke of this the other day. That's the reason you can have some of your best bull runs are in bear markets. Not that this is a bear market, but it's somewhat of a bearish tape we've seen over the last couple of weeks. All right, so I was thinking, all right, what am I going to do to build for these guys that will help them look for opportunity when the bounce does come? And first, I started out just building a top list where you can kind of scan and look for relative strength in the marketplace. But then I got to thinking, I said, well, if the move comes, I want them to be alerted in real time on stocks that have held up really good during a downturn. Now, what do I mean by held up really good? Well, let's just look at the configuration. This is a new high alert, and we're going to look at the filters, and I think you're going to all agree with me that these are all strong components of a chart performing well technically. The low minimum price is $5. I like trading stocks over $5. I don't have a max in here. This EPS, for those of you guys who do not know, it's just a hack to eliminate all ETFs. So in other words, you will not see VIX, SPYs, SMHs, or anything like that come through here, because this is telling the algorithm it has to report earnings. All right, average daily volume. I usually like to trade things that are doing 500,000, but I lowered it a little bit here down to 300,000 to see, what I'd get. And I put in here change from 200-day SMA, in other words, 0.01 a minimum. Has to be above the 200-day, has to be above the 50-day, has to be above the 20-day. I was a little more lenient on the 8-day because I want this to work on maybe a pretty hard sell-off. So, that's something I can come in here and tweak every now and then, or actually just take it out. If we get a really hard sell-off and maybe nothing's above its 8-day SMA, so I can always come in here and tweak it. Position in your range. I want it in the top 25% of its yearly range. And I want the volume in the 5-minute to be doing at least 200%, which is basically 2 times normal 5-minute volume. All right, so that's the configuration. All right, wait, got some more stuff down here. Position in the previous day range has to be a minimum of 99%. That's basically stating it has to be at least 1% of that range from going through yesterday's high. I do not have a max in here. I don't care if it's a gap and go. I just want to make sure it's about to or has taken out the previous day's high. And the position in 20-day range, I'm looking for stuff that's either above its 20-day range or about to go through a 20-day range. So you can tell by looking at these filters that this is going to be a relatively strong chart, okay? So when you get in a market condition like here, where you've had a smart stock market that has sold off and over the last 2 or 3 weeks and down near lows, something like this can really point out to you stocks that have held up really well during that downturn. That technically these things have been holding up pretty well. So let's just do this. Let's just go and I'm going to go to history, and I'm going to take it back to, let's take a look at the spiders one more time here. All right, so this is the day. I don't want to go to this day because this was a sell-off day, and probably not a whole lot of stuff was coming through hitting highs. But let's take a look at this day where the market did get a bounce on 4-3, and let's see if anything, what came through there. And I think you'll agree with me. The way I can't go to today, I can't go to yesterday, so I got to go to time frame. The way you have to do it is go to time frame, and we're going to go from 4-3. Got a little calendar here, so this is the day I'm referring to, and I'm going to do 8:30. I'm on Central Time. The market opens at 8:30, and I just ran it pretty much through the day. I'm not going to change this. This is like 9 seconds before the close on the same day, so we'll just hit OK. And we're going to see all the stocks that came through here on this day. Now remember, this is the day after a lot of carnage and basically trading in below the 200-day and closing below the 200-day moving average. So I think as we go through here and look at these charts, you guys are going to know what I'm talking about. Well, remember, this is a day right here. There's you go. There's your gap and go right there. All right, strong chart. Look at this is a chart that was holding up close to a 20-day high as the market was selling off. This one worked for the day, but now it's pulled back and it's close to this, same level it triggered at, right through this old resistance. You can see there's a resistance line. It broke through. Would have been a nice day trade, but so much for a swing trade. Now, this can be used for day trading or swing trading. I'm not creating this and saying this is something you want to hold on to for days. You could, or you might just want to use it for day trading. The volume will be there, so there'll be plenty of volume for day trading. This one was actually, it's throwing off my arrows, and the reason that's happening, it looks like this triggered today, but it's not the case. Actually, Holly called this out today. This was a Holly call today. A short, I believe. Let's go down and look. And there it is right there. So it's kind of throwing off, but you can see on this day right here that went off at 40.46. So that would have been right there, right as it was breaking through that resistance. So wouldn't that be a beautiful, beautiful chart to see, coming through? You talk about strength right there. Remember, the spiders were like on a, 2-3 month low. This is what you call relative strength, okay? This day right here is the 3rd, and that's the day where you got that trigger and had a very nice move and potentially a nice swing trade there. We've already looked at that one. Let's look at this CVLT. There you go, another one on this day when it took out that high. Working there. So another one, beautiful one right there. As it broke through, you can see it go off at 79. Now it's trading up to 83. So the point I'm making, guys, is this is if you like to look, in other words, you're not a bottom fisher. You don't want to pick stocks like GE in this market. You're looking for things that are holding up relatively strong. This is a really good alert to use that for. It's going to show you, relative strength. You remember, it's got to be trading above all its major moving averages. That's why I named it above all major SMAs. You can just see one. There's not too many bad ones. I don't think this one really paid off. Now it's pretty much trading right where it triggered. It's a Chinese kind of real estate play. ANF. I want you to look at this one. Okay, the price went off at 24.51, and look at that right there. Boom. As it's breaking through. Once again, a chart that is holding up. This is ANF. Let's look at the spiders down here. So total opposite, you got ANF up here close to a 20-day high, and you got the spiders way down here. So once again, strong relative strength, a nice little cup and handle actually. There's your cup, and there's your handle. Off to the races. So, and you're going to see a lot of repeats in here, obviously, as long as they keep hitting highs. Let's take a look at Cassie. I don't think I've looked at that one. Wow, look at that one. Now, unfortunately, since I set my minimum price at $5, you didn't get this one till right there, but still, not a bad looking trade. Even if you caught it right there, a lot of juice left in that one. So. This just for giggles, let's look at the 4th too. Let's look at the day after. Now, to be fair, would that be yesterday? Let's see, that'd be yesterday. And you might see a lot of the same ones coming through here. Yeah, there's ANF still going. Remember, I didn't set a maximum on the 20-day range or anything like that, so you will see this one right here. Look at this beauty. And this one was one that Steve and I are kicking ourselves because we discussed this about being the trade of the week. It was setting up right here going into Monday and looking beautiful, but we were thinking, this market sells off. We make it a head fake and down move, and that's what we thought happened right here on this day, where it would have triggered right here around 52.90. But boy, look at that move right there. Beautiful.
I just want to let you know, Andy, I'm taking notes over here. This is actually giving me a good idea just to go back to Holly 2.0.
Oh, really?
Okay. I might be stealing some of this. Just
hey man, we work best as a team. Of course, you have to put in most of the work, but I will come up with some good ideas every now and then. Well, no, that's actually a compliment to hear something like that, Michael. So, but anyway, guys, it really is. It's important if you want to play it safe. Relative strength. It's fine. As a matter of fact, GE is looking kind of tempting. As a bottom fish. I can't lie to you. I got my brother in it the other day because I think it is trying to put in a bottom, but it's funny, I got my brother in it, but I don't want to get in it yet. I don't know. I was just talking to him about it, and he said, I'm gonna go ahead and get it. But for the most part, if you want to play it safe, guys. The relative strength is hard to beat. Stocks are holding up for the reason. There's more buyers than sellers, even in a selling overall market. And when you see that, that's relative strength, and you want to be on the right side when they do go. All right, I know some of you guys are wanting this, and I am going to share it. Let me put it back on real time.
And while you're doing that, I think this is another kind of interesting thing to talk about Holly 2.0. So you saw that this scan Andy built completely stock, and the conditions were that price needed to be above all of these moving averages. With the custom side of things, we could say price needs to be above all these moving averages, as well as each moving average needs to be on top of each other. Sorry. So
Yes.
hopefully that's kind of like a good real world example of the evolution that's taking place here, where we can say, not only do you have to do this, that has happened before, but also this needs to take place. So we're able to really narrow the focus down on things that we might like even better.
Yes, that's a very good point. And what Mike is talking about is when you get these, what we call sometimes these stacked moving averages, like right here in this FND, you got a 20 over the 50, you got a 10 over the 20, and you can see the 200 down here. So they're nice and stacked. You want your smaller ones for the more impressive looking technical charts. You want the smaller moving averages above the greater ones. And when they're stacked like that, you can get some really good price action. Yeah, that's a very good point. And that's a key. Now, getting these custom formulas into Holly, it's blowing my mind, because I can imagine, yeah, it's going to be incredible. Yeah, let me go back and put it on real time, and what I'll do, guys, is drop it into the chat window and just label it above all SMAs. And let me go ahead and share this. Let me get it from my cloud so I don't have to keep making more copies. There you can see the top list I did first, and then I decided, let's just go ahead and make this an alert and share it. And you guys do have it in there now. So yeah, just grab that. For you guys who are new, the way you do that is just click on the link in the chat window in your GoToWebinar interface, and it's going to pull up a little code page. The easiest place to grab it is just in the URL. Just copy the URL. Okay, once you do that, you can minimize your page and then come over here to File, Load from Cloud, and it will copy it from the clipboard, so your code will already be in there, and just hit load. And it popped up on my other screen, but there it is. So you too will have a copy of above all neighborhood. And guys, this doesn't only work when the market's at its bottom. This obviously can point out strength in any market, but just keep in mind that when markets are at all-time highs, you're going to get a lot of data coming through. So you need to be, maybe you look for what Michael's talking about. Look for those stacked SMAs. You're welcome, guys. Well, I tell you what, guys, we do have about 10 minutes left. Michael, I don't know if there's anything. We always enjoy hearing your words of wisdom. If anything you want to add to today's webinar, or should we go ahead and just take a look at a few charts?
No, I think we can take a look at a few charts, or okay, get to some questions if there's any.
Sure. Yeah, that's a good point. Any questions, guys, that you might have for Michael? He's only going to be here as a filler every now and then, or as a guest speaker, but any questions you have for him, or if you want us to take a look at some charts, just drop them in there. Christopher drops in EEP. The turnaround candidate, Energy had a good day today. You can see the OIHs were up right below steel on my sector analysis there. So that's why you're seeing a little strength here in EEP. It looks good, and I was noticing that, Apache was looking kind of turnaroundish. Halliburton is one I have my eye on, looking kind of, a turnaroundish if you can get through this area. And guys, what's happening here is when you see these energy, actually oil's not, these things are trading higher than when oil was up here. I was wondering why, when oil was close to a year high, why some of these things weren't moving higher, but now they decided to. So to get back to EEP, I'm always concerned when you have this type of volume sell-off, on your initial move. A lot of times they have a hard time recovering. More than likely, this was some sort of earnings announcement or call. I mean, that was just huge downside volume. Potentially, it looks good. It closed today, right, kind of in this range that it's trying to, bust out of. You got to definitely have a downtrend. I'm not going to draw the line, but the downtrend's coming through here, and it may even be higher. Yeah, you see the downtrend right there. I would be careful, and the reason I say, I mean, something like this, if I give a chance, it looks good on a chart, like it's nice cupping bottom, but once again, I always try to put my head into the head of other traders, and I know there's probably a lot that got trapped, on this downside and just got destroyed. They may be waiting for this chart to perk up a little bit so they can finally get out. So if you do take something like this, what I do is, in other words, if it takes out tomorrow's high and I decide to buy it, I am dead set on it staying above that pivot level right there. So in other words, if it breaks out and then comes back down into the range, I won't out immediately, because it's kind of a failed break from that pivot. And if it does, there's a good chance it's going to fall down to this range and even go lower. So I'm not one that chastises somebody for looking for bottoms. And like I said, I'm looking at that GE right now. I mean, I think they can be very rewarding, but you must be very disciplined when you trade, when you're picking bottoms. You don't want to catch falling knives. It's a different story. You don't want to buy this thing right in here, but now that you've got a little base and maybe it's turning around, that's okay, but be disciplined and get out when you're wrong. All right, Christopher, you're welcome there.
Yeah, I totally agree there. The picking bottoms like that can be, a lot of fun, very profitable, but you need to have that line in the sand, or that's where I see a lot of traders get into a lot of trouble.
Yep, because it's very easy to talk yourself out of a stock. And
We've all been there.
Yeah, we have all been there. So define your loss when you enter a trade like that and stick to it. And you might use that 10-period moving average. So if you want to give it a little wiggle room, if it comes back in the range, follow it. Don't let it slip below that 10-period moving average. SYY. Okay, Cisco. This is the food delivery wholesaler. Well, it's showing relative strength going into the day, that's for sure. I'm not sure, it didn't do a whole lot today. But of course, the market didn't either. It's your typical kind of inside day after a big move. Sold off more than I would like, but it is above all its moving averages. It's kind of, it's in kind of no man's land. You can see our profit target up there. That is pointing out the area of resistance. So if I do not have a position in this trade, I would probably just bracket it. If I'm looking to go long, if it breaks out above this, March high and takes out the high of yesterday, and then use our swing exit down here as your stop. This, I would take a chapter from The Art of War and something like this. When you have two sides battling it out, don't take a side until you find out who wins. So in other words, jump on the winning side if it breaks out to the upside, and then or jump on the bull side and then jump on the bear side. There's no reason, if you don't have a position, to. This is kind of no man's land for me. All right, let's see. Donna adds to that, would you look at a stack EEP on lower time frame?
So I think she's just talking about the moving averages that we were talking about. Yeah, Donna. Well, no, not really. I mean, I trade off the daily, even if I'm trading off here's my theory about time frames. Okay, 5 minute, 15 minute, they are great for entries, but when I'm trading, I trade off the daily, even if I'm day trading, because let's face it,
the daily shows the real footprints in the sand. This, to me, this is noise, and you got a lot of algos, a lot of HFT, high frequency traders in the market, and I'd like the CEP, if you were trading it today and it broke out of this morning range, that would be a great entry for me. But once it gets there, this is just my preference. There was a time when I was a scalper and I would go for 20 or 30 cents, but not anymore. Get too old. and I'd like to look at my dailies to kind of really see where the potential where a stock may go. And that just might be a matter of preference, Donna, because I'm more of a swing trader now, where you may be a pure active scalper. But no, I won't look at a lower time frame when I'm looking for a swing trade, except maybe for the entry. All right, let's see here. Well, I think that's pretty much not a lot of charts to look at today, but we're kind of running out of time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring you guys, hang on. I know Scott's going to offer you a discount code. So you're welcome, Mike. And Scott, you want to come back in here and walk us out, and we'll...
Before we leave, download it from trade-ideas.com. In writing that one. Load that thing. We also have a podcast. We're actually not going to have a new episode vacation, so we're short-handed. However, we'll be back next Friday. So in anticipation of that, if you're not yet a subscriber to the podcast, just go ahead and search for Trade Ideas Podcast in whatever app you listen to them in, subscribe. Get the week before last episode, maybe one of the previous ones. We talk a lot about current stuff. There's some interesting crypto talk in some recent episodes. Automatically, it'll just show up right in your player. We have a code. Spring Bling saves you 15% this month off your first month or year of Trade Ideas. You can also use the same code to do an upgrade if you're a standard subscriber and want to upgrade to premium. Just use that code when you're modifying your subscription inside the account management area. Thanks everyone for attending. You can email us info@trade-ideas.com with your questions. You can reach out to Andy directly, andy@trade-ideas.com, and Michael is mnoss@trade-ideas.com. Thanks everyone. Have a good one. We'll have a recording up later on tonight. Send you a link tomorrow. Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Andy.